Hello, students. Welcome back. This is Hudson, chapter number 4, the chapter on novel, section 6. That is the section on humor, pathos, and tragedy. The section on humor, pathos, and tragedy. Generally, you know, when we think of humor, we always think of comedy. And basically, we think of mm, comedy as a subgenre or as a subcategory of drama, right? When we think of pathos, what is pathos, by the way? Pathos is sadness, right? The exact translation of pathos will be karun ras, tragedy, tragic. So uh, there is humor. The opposite of humor, loosely, very loosely, the opposite of humor will be pathos, and then tragedy. Now, tragedy is also something that is a term associated with drama. So, in drama, you have comedy and tragedy. Now, the very first question that we should all have is why does Hudson use these terms, or why do people of literature use these terms or associate these terms with novel? Right? So, let us try to find answers to this, and let's see what Hudson has to say about humor and tragedy and pathos in a novel. Uh, this is on page number 206 in my book, section 6, chapter 4. Right? Hudson says he has spoken about plot, characterization, dialogue, all these things we have discussed in the previous sections. He says, I have not made any overt reference to the question of the novelist's power of humor, pathos, and tragic effect. These terms we generally discuss in drama with reference to drama, but with novel, with reference to novelist, uh, whether they are discussed so frequently, I doubt, right? And Hudson says they may be missed by the most careless reader. The novelist's humor, the novelist's skill to portray pathos and tragedy, they may be missed even by even the most uh, they may be recognized or missed by even the most careless reader, that it is unnecessary to do more than make passing mention of them. So even the most uh, careless reader will come to know about uh, the humor in a novel, the element of pathos in a novel, or the element of tragedy in a novel. The reason is there are no theoretical formulations for this. No? Like in drama, you have a theory of tragedy with reference to drama. You have the theory of comedy. Like what is a romantic comedy in Shakespeare? You have definitions. What is humor? You have the theory of humors proposed by Ben Jonson. All these things are formulated theoretically only in the realm of drama. You don't have any theory for tragedy in a novel, right? For humor in novel, for pathos in novel. So these are things that literary theory has not discussed. Aesthetics and poetics has not discussed these things with regards to novel, right? So these are things about which we don't have the so-called expert opinions available. So Hudson says we will make a passing mention. We'll make a passing mention because we don't have concrete proof. Okay. There is first the question of the extent and limitations of the novelist's powers. In the comparative study of fiction, this question has some interest since one writer is weak in humor, who is strong in pathos, with another The conditions are reversed. And the third is more at home, more or most at home among the fiercer passions, while here and there we may find one who has something of Shakespeare's assured mastery of many moods, right? So it is it every novelist has a different uh, skill, different ability. Some novelists are good at portraying humor. Some novelists are good at portraying tragedy. Some novelists are good at portraying what is known as Shringara, the romance. Some novelists are good at portraying what is known as the Veeraras. And there are some like Shakespeare who are, this is what Mammatacharya in Sanskrit poetics, Mammat will say some novelists like or some writers like Shakespeare, they are Navarasa Ruchira. They are brilliant at portraying all the Navarasas, all the nine rasas, emotions. Right? So the first point that we have to note when we discuss humor, pathos, and tragedy in novelists, every novelist is skilled at one or the other areas. Secondly, there is more important question of the quality of his accomplishment. That is, even if a novelist is good in humor, what kind of humor is he portraying? What kind of humor? Is it only farce? Farce is, just the lowest kind of humor. That is, through physical actions, you you make people laugh. If you remember, uh, for example, see, Kapil Sharma is a stand-up comedy. Now you have these characters who sometimes start fighting with each other. Uh, for example, this Kiku Sharda's character you must have seen, or Gulshan Grover, not Gulshan Grover. What was it? That Grover who had a fight with Kapil. I forgot his name. Sunil Grover. Yeah, Sunil Grover. They when they used to come dressed up as ladies, how they used to start fighting with each other, fierce fighting, like ek bija upar chadi baise, every રીતે. So that is farce, and the comedy that is produced from farce, such a physical, uh, you know, fighting or physical um, portrayal of body postures, humorous portrayal of body postures. That is what is known as farce. And farce is one of the low types of comedy. It is not a very intellectual type of comedy. So then, from farce to the subtle forms of high comedy. Then from pathos, in pathos you have weak sentimentalism to the most delicate play of tender feelings. Then tragedy may vary from a crude reveling in merely material horrors to the most soul moving calamities of moral and spiritual life. So these are different levels. If somebody is good at humor, what is the level of his humor? Somebody is good at pathos, what is the level of his pathos? Somebody is good at tragedy, what is the level of his tragedy? So the skill of the novelist is the second point. Okay. Now the quality of emotional element in fiction. The question of quality, Hudson says, involves in the large and in some respects difficult problem of use and abuse of emotional elements in fiction. Right? For example, humor. Humor is one of the greatest endowments of genius and the one which is beyond all others should help to keep a novelist's work sane and wholesome. Yet, humor may be misemployed. Humor may be misemployed. If a novelist wants to portray humor, he should show humor in such a way that it should look natural and organic. Here and there, simply to make people laugh and entertain and enjoy, you cannot be portraying humor. Right? Then humor loses its intellectual quality. It is misemployed, for example, when it is enlisted in the service of indecency or used to turn to ridicule what should arouse the sympathy or the sense of revulsion rather than mirth. જ્યાં હસવાનું ન હોય એવી જગ્યાએ હસીએ એટલે એ એકદમ એકદમ ખરાબ લાગે. અથવા તો જ્યાં સિમ્પથાઇઝ કરવાનું હોય કેરેક્ટર્સની સાથે, ત્યાં એની જગ્યાએ આપણે એને હ્યુમરસ બનાવી દઈએ, then that looks like a very very dull novel or a very very bad piece of work, right? Even comedy, it has to be handled in a very very elegant manner. If you don't do that, you lose the charm of the comedy, right? So inappropriateness in managing humor is not what is expected. That we should remember, right? So this is about humor. Then about the painful emotion, that is pathos. Similar problem confronts us in connection with the painful situations. When we enjoy them at all, we experience them in the mimic world of art, is a question concerning which, since Aristotle started in a famous passage in the Poetics, much has been written and countless theories have been produced. What is the pathos? What is the tragic emotion? Aristotle, you are going to learn this in your third year. Aristotle, in his very, very famous treatise on criticism called Poetics, he has said that what is the function of tragedy? What is the function of the mm, what is the function of a drama? Basically, the function of a tragedy is catharsis. Catharsis is the arousal of the emotions of pity and fear. Pity and fear. Pity for what and fear for what? Pity for the character. If Oliver is, so let us take, because we are discussing Aristotle, let us take up drama. So if Hamlet is meeting his tragic end, you feel pity for Hamlet because Hamlet is a good man and still he has to suffer the tragic doom. So we feel pity for Hamlet. And fear for what? Fear for ourselves. This is what Aristotle says. Why do we feel fearful while watching a tragedy? We feel fearful because we have realized that what has happened to Hamlet can also happen to me. Or if not exactly the same thing, something similar can happen to me. What if something such happens to me? Because see, we all believe that we are good men. I believe that I am good, others are bad. Okay? Now, Hamlet is a good man. I am a good man. So what has happened to Hamlet can happen to me. Hamlet's father has died. His mother has married his uncle. His beloved has left him. Everybody around him have turned his enemies. Now, what has happened to Hamlet can happen to me. What has happened to Othello can happen to me. What has happened to Macbeth can happen to me. So I feel pity on Hamlet. I feel pity on Othello. I feel pity for Macbeth. And I feel afraid for myself. And therefore, I try to avoid those things or those tragic flaws which Hamlet or Othello or Macbeth or Lear had carried. Understand? This is the function of drama, the betterment of society, basically. And to make people realize that what has happened to them can also happen to you, so you better be careful. This is, in a very simple language, the most comprehensive theory of poetics, that is, or tragedy, that is given by Aristotle in his Poetics. Okay. Now, if it is so painful, pity and fear, then why do we enjoy them? We say that the movie was very emotional or the drama was very emotional, very painful, but still we say we enjoyed it. Oh, mast tha. If something is painful, can we ever enjoy it? Hmm? So what did we enjoy? Did we enjoy the pain? Did we enjoy the pain? Yes, we did enjoy the pain because this pain is also aesthetically beautiful. So what we enjoyed, and remember, this is the basis of aesthetics. In TY, you will have Indian aesthetics. There is Western aesthetics, there is Indian aesthetics. Aesthetics is linked with poetics very much when it comes to India, Sanskrit. Aesthetics is the science of beauty. Right? Art is supposed to be aesthetic. Now, if you say that you enjoyed a movie or a drama or a novel, even though it was very, very emotional, sad, tragic, why did you enjoy? What you enjoyed as a reader or as a spectator is the aesthetic beauty of that tragedy. How beautifully Shakespeare has uh, portrayed the tragic end of Hamlet. We feel sorry for Hamlet, but we appreciate the beauty of Shakespeare's creation, isn't it? That is why we enjoy it. So it is the result of his imagination. Secondly, the depth and permanence of its appeal. We also appreciate, or when we say that it was a very emotional movie, but I enjoyed, what we enjoyed is the depth and the quality of permanence. Hmm. You say that, okay, this can happen in real life. This is something, so Hamlet is something people remember even after 400 years, right? So that's the quality of permanence, universality in any great work of art. So these are things which we need to take care when we, as a writer, when we depict the emotion of pathos. Otherwise, simply abuse of painful emotions, sentiments degenerating into sentimentalism, and unhealthy indulgence into luxury in the luxury of grief. This is not good for a novelist. This is not good for a novelist. Understand? So this is what Hudson wants to say. So positively agonizing. If there is pain, if there is agony, it should be positive agonizing, right? Or the reader is compelled to linger over scenes, the whole effect of which depends upon their profusion of pathological detail. This is something we don't want. So this is something that should not happen, right? So this is what Hudson says. If the spell, the moment being broken, we look back on a novel we have just been reading and become conscious that we have tricked into a strong feeling without sufficient or upon unworthy cause, that our emotion has been merely factitious and will not stand the impartial judgment of the next day, or that the interest aroused has been of that gross and morbid kind which leaves a taint upon the mind, then no matter what may be its artistic merits, the book must stand condemned. If after putting the novel aside, after completing the novel, you feel that the novelist has wasted your emotions, made you emotional for wrong reasons, wrong reasons. You should not have wasted your emotions on such a novel. Then such a novel is not to be appreciated; it is to be criticized. So the real test of pathos, humor, tragedy, all these emotions is after the reader puts aside the novel, he or she should be able to get the satisfaction that, okay, I invested these many days in reading this novel. I had an emotional roller coaster and it was worth it. If the reader doesn't feel that it was worth it, the novelist has not been able to portray the emotions of uh, humor or pathos really well, right? This is what Hudson wants to say. This is a short section comparatively. And as I said in the beginning, because there is no theory available, we have to go to the theory of drama that is propounded by Aristotle in his Poetics, right? Because as I told you, there is no theory for humor or pathos in a novel. There is theory for humor and pathos in drama. So most of the times when we discuss humor and pathos and tragedy in a novel, we have to go by the standards of drama, right? Which is correct to some extent because novel and drama are similar, but only that novel is to be read and drama is to be enacted, right? So it is fine. But uh, quickly, let's recap. So the first issue was the issue of the limitation and power. the strength and weakness of the novelist. How deeply has he been able to portray either humor or pathos, right? So there are different ranges, even in comedy, in humor, in pathos, all these things. So he should be able to manage it really in depth. Then uh, humor or pathos may not be or should not be misemployed. They should be used only whenever and wherever they are required. And about pathos, why do we feel that a particular novel is beautiful even when even when it ends on a sad note? So what is it that we are happy or that we are satisfied about? That is a question that Hudson sets us thinking about, isn't it? So these are the things that we discussed in this particular section. So this is a minor section, section 6, but it's worth giving a brief discussion or worth giving a brief short halt to. So this is for this particular section. If there are any doubts, queries on this, we can discuss it at length. We are not taking up these topics for discussion at length because there are other prominent topics to be dealt with. Like the next topic, the seventh topic is on setting in fiction. So that is, I feel that topic is more important. It should be given more time, right? That is why we are not discussing these other things in great detail. But still, if there are doubts, do get back to me. All right. Thank you so much. Bye bye.